Hello there. Today I saw the film Bring Them Down, and now I want to tell you about it. Bring Them Down is a dramatic thriller about an escalating feud between two Irish sheep-herding families. Jonathan Horrigan and Chris Andrews wrote the story, and Chris Andrews directed the film. It stars Christopher Abbott and Barry Cogan alongside a small supporting cast. Okay, this story is as close to Shakespeare as you can get in the modern day. It has tragedy, nuanced characters, and big spectacle moments. It starts by showing us one side of the feud from the perspective of Michael. He's a middle-aged man living with his sick father and taking care of their sheep herd. He and his dog Max spend most of their days and nights tending to the flock and then returning home to look after his dad. When two of his rams go missing, it sets him on a collision course with his neighbor Gary. Gary is a family man living with his wife and teenage son, Jack. They also raise sheep, but have fallen on hard times. Things continue to escalate between the two neighbors until someone attacks Michael's herd in the dead of night, which prompts him to make a deadly decision. Then the camera moves over to Jack and we see the feud from his perspective and learn the truth behind everything. After seeing both sides of the feud, the film closes out with a big confrontation between the two families. There's a lot to love about this film, from its Children of Men style long shots to its incredible characters. The story, the visuals, and the cast all have positive elements to talk about. Starting with the story. It's a slow-building tale about mundane people getting caught up in a dark affair. It explains both sides clearly, gives us a deep look into both families and their personalities, and keeps everything on the level and realistic. It gives us a window into humanity's worst traits and lets us see the end consequences of allowing them to flourish. For excitement, it has an intense conflict between these two families that leads to a few horrific acts of murder and mutilation. They focus more on the emotional aspects of those moments than the gore, but manage to create a tremendous impact delving into extreme emotions of disgust, rage, and hatred. The scene with the sheep was easily one of the most uncomfortable pieces of cinema I've ever experienced. The cast takes this incredible story and gives it their all, though a lot of them are playing rural Irish sheep herders. They manage to recreate a small town feel with their characters and present as a group of normal people in an exceptional situation. Along the way, there's lots of great emotional work and chemistry to enjoy. Most of the screen time goes to Michael, played by Christopher Abbott, and Jack, played by Barry Cogan. The two of them play out the two sides of the feud, and we get a deep view of both of them in the process. Christopher Abbott does an amazing job playing a morally ambiguous character. At first, you just feel sorry for him and his situation. Then, as the film progresses, you start to see the madness in him and realize that most of his problems are an extension of his own actions. Abbott does a fantastic job with his character's emotional arc, playing a truly conflicted character that you can't help fear and pity at the same time. Barry Cogan's Jack is a quiet kid who tries to be polite to the people around him. He's also courageous and willing to cross all kinds of lines for his family, but impulsive and short-sighted at the same time. Cogan makes you pity the character at first, and then slowly makes you hate him before bringing you back around to a bit of pity again. Visually, the film takes simple locations and tells a powerful story with them. It takes place on a farm in the Irish countryside. The characters spend most of their time at home or walking around with their sheep outdoors. There's lots of lovely views of the Irish hills, a quaint little town, and a few grazing spaces. They do visit a few locations, but they're simple places like a shop or a cattle auction. The journey is presented in a clear and straightforward manner with an emphasis on showing things in a realistic light. For standout moments, they have long, intense scenes of the characters building up to an act of extreme violence. Then we see how that violence affects them as they carry it out and get some deep character building moments. For example, there's one scene where a character is forced to mercy kill a group of animals. It's a horrible moment, and the way they focus on his face as the blood spatters across it and his expression darkens is just so macabre. There's a few scenes like this that get your heart pumping and adrenaline rushing. Which brings me to the one and only real negative. The music is so generic it feels kind of lazy. The songs they use are literally one or two notes repeated for effect. They could have gotten a lot more value out of some proper horror tracks or even an original song cut down. They also didn't use very much music. Most of the film is just dead silent with ambient noise behind it. It works well for creating atmosphere, but doesn't flavor the film in any way or support the emotional journey. It makes the film sound ordinary and forgettable. Personally, I enjoyed this film quite a bit. It had a good, suspenseful story and some fantastic acting. They did a good job with their visual journey through solid camera work too. It reminded me a lot of Shakespearean tragedies and did a good job building and releasing tension. If you like a good drama, I would definitely recommend this to you. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 7 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye bye!